Hey everybody, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network, and today we're talking COVID and the U.S. election. Let's get to it. All right, so just to start off here, if you are watching and if you are interested in having your say on the U.S. election or anything else, I'm happy to hear and talk to people about pretty much anything. You can give me a call at 250-457-0538. But we're going to start off with a little video so I can make my phone number into a lower third about a group of people that want to put on a show at the Ashcroft Hub. So check this out, and I'll be back in just a minute. All right. So that is for Ev's Circus. So on Friday, November 20th at 7 p.m., there's a 50-minute circus performance. A 50-minute circus performance. Come experience the love story of the two performers. Tickets are $25 a person and available at ashcrofthub.com. On Saturday, November 21st from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., circus show and workshop for kids. Kids will enjoy a performance, then a workshop where they will learn hooping, juggling, tumbling, and stretching. The cost is $10 per child, and you can register today at the ashcrofthub.com. Not just ashcrofthub.com. All right, so in the village of Ashcroft. So this is a story by Barbara Roden. And Barbara, I'm just going to steal your whole story, so I do apologize for that, but I wanted to make sure I got all of the details correct. So, an alleged armed robbery on Highway 97C in Ashcroft has the RCMP asking for assistance and information from the public. Police say that around 2:30 a.m. on Friday, October 30th, Ashcroft RCMP received a report about a robbery at the brake check on Highway 97C near the Bluffs. The male victim, who was driving a blue 1998 Dodge Dakota, told police that a large truck had almost run him off the road. The victim stopped at the brake check at the top of the 97C hill into Ashcroft and said that the suspect vehicle turned around and stopped nearby. A large light bar on top of the suspect vehicle blinded the victim, who said that two unidentified males exited the truck with a long firearm. The victims alleged that he was ordered out of his vehicle at gunpoint and told to lie face down on the ground. The suspects then stole a number of items from the victim's vehicle, including a large duffel bag that was on the back seat before they left the scene. Ashcroft RCMP are investigating the incident and looking for any information that could assist them, and anyone who was in the area at the time of the incident who has dash cam footage that could help or would have any other information about the larger truck with the light bar is asked to call the Ashcroft RCMP. I haven't heard of something like that going on in Ashcroft for quite some time, if ever, so thank you, Barbara, for writing that story, and I apologize for having to steal it, but sharing is caring. In Cache Creek, the village of Cache Creek wants to thank former councillor Wyatt McMurray for his many years of dedicated service to the village. So Wyatt was a councillor for many years and wasn't reelected in the last go-around, but he's been honored with a gift from the village. And there's also a thank you to David Dubois, who is also on council for a term in Cache Creek. So thank you all for your service as well. I also got an update about the Equality Project from Joan Henderson. So thank you, Joan, for keeping us up to date on all the great things that the Equality Project is doing. And remember, everybody, if you have something that you would like to donate to the Equality Project, they take donations on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So she says, "Hi, Gareth, just a short update on the Equality Project. Our numbers are back up and typically over 30 people. We received a large amount of frozen meat on Thursday, which Elizabeth Fry shared with us, and are offering anyone who is a member and could do with some extra meat to come to the clubhouse and ask for some, and we'd be happy to share it with them. We are working hard at recovering our chairs with a nice bright vinyl and should soon have about 40 of them done. We are now using our new steam table so we can more safely serve our lunches. Anyone looking for a place to volunteer and has a heart to serve, we would love for you to join our team." So again, that is from Joan Henderson. Thank you, Joan, for sharing that. And remember, keep us up to date. We love hearing about the Equality Project, so keep us in the know. Now, Cache, I believe Vicki talked about this a little bit on Friday, but the summary of the Cache Creek Cannabis Survey has come out. I just wanted to go over some of the larger points. So if you're interested in reading all of this, it's a fairly lengthy booklet of things that they have, and this is from the Mayor Aki Communication Planning Program. So they did a survey, and I believe about 77 people took the survey. We took it here on the show, and this is about in regards to cannabis in Cache Creek. So it says that the village of Cache Creek has embarked on the planning process to develop a local regulatory framework aligned with federal and provincial legislation for the sale, production, and consumption of cannabis within the village. On October 17th, 2018, the federal government and Canada passed legislation to support the consumption, sale, and production of recreational cannabis nationwide. In British Columbia, the provincial government provided legislation via the Cannabis Control and Licensing Act and the Cannabis Distribution Act to establish the public wholesale distribution, monopoly, and public government-run retail sales. Privately run cannabis retail stores are licensed through the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. So local governments were given the power to make decisions based on the needs and priorities of their communities, bylaws restricting where cannabis can be grown, sold, and consumed, hours of operation for retail stores, quantity of retail stores, and fees associated with cannabis applications. So there was about, 40 questions on the survey, and so some of those included the need for engagement, which was addressed, a stakeholder engagement approach. So the essential goal of developing the framework for the village of Cache Creek was to identify key stakeholders. Consideration was also given to the public health restrictions to place for COVID-19 and developing an engagement strategy that limited person-to-person contact. As a result, Meraki Communication Planning developed an engagement strategy to reflect the need to abide by public health measures utilizing virtual and telecommunication methods. So engagement has been happening since August 2020 with a survey that went out to the general public in the middle of September. interviews with Village of Cache Creek businesses, also in September, and the results are out as of October 16th. So the response and characteristics. So participants of the survey were asked a series of questions in regards to age, residency, and whether or not they owned a business or in the Village of Cache Creek. Nearly all respondents of the survey indicated that they were permanent residents of the Village of Cache Creek, which worked out to 90%, with only a small margin indicating that they were seasonal residents, 5%, or not a resident at all, 5%, so that was probably us. The majority of the respondents were at the 25 to 35, or 29%, and ages 34 to 44, 25%, or 55 to 64, 24% age ranges. Only 5 respondents indicated that they were business owners. The concerns, so the majority of the respondents indicated that they were not concerned with cannabis legislation being implemented in the Village of Cache Creek. Many participants indicated in the final comment section of the survey that they had no concerns. However, due to the nature of the question, they had to choose at least 3 options to understand what some of the community concerns were. With the potential sale and production of cannabis in the Village of Cache Creek, a series of options were provided to production of cannabis in the Village of Cache Creek. A series of options were provided to quantify commonly identified apprehensions. Participants were asked to select their top 3 concerns out of a list, and a summary of the results are included here. So some of the main concerns were youth access. I'm not concerned with cannabis legislation, and the other highest one was the location of cannabis stores. So people were worried about kids and the location, mainly with most people saying that they're not worried about anything. We have our first. Oh, we have somebody on here trying to send us WhatsApp things. I don't know who that is. That doesn't seem... Anyway, if you wanted to go and check this out, there's lots of data that you can go through. 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of this. So go check it out. And if you have any questions or concerns, let us know here at the Ashcraft Hub Online Network, and we would love to be able to say what's on your mind. And if you have anything on your mind right now, give me a call at 250-457-0538, and we will go from there. So in the Interior Health, Interior Health had a couple of things that they wanted to put out into the community, sort of PSAs, and what they're trying to say is there are many ways that you can support men's health this Movember. Keeping in mind, I'm not doing Movember. I recently, a year and a half ago, went through cancer myself and had to get rid of all my facial hair, and I am so happy it's back. I'm not taking it off. But there are so many ways that you can support men's health this Movember. Grow a Mo, or sign up to make a move for men's mental health. Walk or run 60 kilometers over the month. That's 60 kilometers for the 60 men lost to suicide each hour around the globe. Toxic drugs are circulating while COVID-19 means we are more isolated than ever. If you use drugs, buddy up. When you're using, COVID-19 is passed by droplets, so stay 2 meters from your buddy to avoid passing the virus. Using with a buddy is safer than using alone. And also, if you haven't gotten it yet and you are a person that uses drugs such as these, there is an app that you can use that gives yourself a timer. So you can hit the timer, and if you do not turn the timer off by the time you are done using, an ambulance will show up assuming that you are somehow incapacitated and needing help. So you can download the app and use that to help yourself feel safe. Interior Health goes on to say, feeling sick, stay home and stop the spread. And if you experience symptoms of COVID-19, get tested right away. So speaking of COVID-19, we have had a doozy of a weekend. So what you're looking at here is the BC CDC information page. So over the weekend, we had 1,120 new cases. So that's since Friday to Monday, for a total of, that brings us to a total of 15,501 cases in BC from the start of all of this. So from October 30th to 31st, we had 352 new cases. From October 31st to November 1st, we had 389 new cases. And from Sunday to Monday, we had 379 new cases. So there have been 6 new COVID-19 related deaths over the weekend. That brings us to a total of 269 deaths in total in BC since the start of COVID-19. If you are a person that has had COVID-19, it'd be interesting to know your story and how you dealt with it. So please let us know at honjournalist@ashcrofthub.com, and we would love to be able to tell your story. So it's lots of new, not necessarily new, but stricter restrictions are being asked on people, such as nobody outside of your home, plus 6 people that you would typically see anyway. So you can't, like for example, I can't now go see my parents because I'm no longer in their 6 safe people. So this may mean a lonely Christmas. This may mean a lonely New Year. So remember to keep your groups small, and let's stop the spread of COVID-19 before it gets to be too bad. We in BC are by no means as bad as some of the other provinces going around. However, just because we're not as bad as bigger provinces does not mean that the numbers that we have are not concerning. All right, so also, since the BC election, we're not talking about the U.S. yet, but since the BC election, Andrew Wilkinson announced that he will be stepping down as leader of the BC Liberals following his party's projected loss. Now, we don't know all of the actual results yet from our provincial election. We are waiting on the mail-in ballots, which should be out at the end of this week, or on the 6th. So, but it is projected that the things that happen on election night are solid and will not likely change, which means that the NDP has a majority government of 55 seats, the Liberals are just under 30 seats, and the Greens have 3. So Andrew Wilkinson has stepped down. In an extremely brief statement, he said that he will stay on until a new leader is chosen. The party's executive council is set to meet over the weekend to discuss the leadership race, and Wilkinson's announcement came after the NDP's risk in calling a snap election paid off and they won their majority government. So that's something that's going on. And the Liberal Party is under another round of backlash over that Zoom call that took place and had the nine or so people in a roast, and they were having comments about NDP candidate. So they are back in the hot seat on that one, as another call came out with Andrew Wilkinson sort of downplaying the results of that particular phone call. So just because the election is over doesn't mean that controversy cannot rear its head back up. All right, so now, I'm going to talk about Brad Viss quick because I'll save all the U.S. stuff for last. And remember that if you would like to have your say on what's going on in the U.S. election, because we're going to talk about that here in a sec, you can give me a call at 250-457-0538. It would be interesting to hear what you have to say. And the reason that I'm going to be talking about the U.S. election is because it affects everybody around the globe. As the world's leading superpower, it affects even us in Ashcroft, and so many people are talking about it. I would be remiss if I didn't get to talk about it myself. But let's talk about Brad Viss first. So Brad Viss says on his Facebook page that this week we learned the Liberals allocated more than half of its promised $1 billion for rapid housing behind the scenes. How is it fair that some big cities get funded while the remainder of Canada's communities are struggling with homelessness and are left to compete among themselves and apply for the rest? So here's a brief video as to what our MP is doing in Parliament.
The honourable member for Mission Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, this week we learned the Liberals allocated more than half of the promised $1 billion for rapid housing behind the scenes. How is it fair that some big cities get funded while the remainder of Canada's communities struggling with homelessness are left to compete amongst themselves and apply for the rest? What about Coquitlam? What about Trois-Rivières, Mission, and Guelph? And what about rural Canada in the north, Mr. Speaker, where housing challenges are more acute than anywhere else? Why are these communities and regions less important to this Liberal government?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Rapid Housing Initiative is focusing the first $500 million to the top 15 municipalities that have the highest number of individuals experiencing homelessness. The second $500 million is open to every other community that has ready-made projects that can turn affordable housing solutions in 12 months or less. That is the advice that we got from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Yeah. That is the advice that we got from the mayors of the top 15 municipalities that have the highest number of homeless individuals, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Great idea. The honourable member for Prince George Peace.
All right, so that's from Brad Viss, and we, of course, will be keeping up with him on our next show. So keep it interesting, Brad, so we have something to talk about. All right, so make a comment, give me a call. Let's talk U.S. election here for the next couple of minutes. It's been an interesting go, and with the way that my job is, I spend a lot of time following politics in general, both Canadian and American, but the theater of American politics has always interested me. Now, however, so today is the U.S. election, and it is seemingly has more talk around town than the recent provincial election did. Everyone has an opinion, and not all of them are what you might think. Now, in one corner, we have the challenger, Joe Biden, and in the other, we have the current reigning champ, Donald Trump. As of this taping, the first polling stations close in just under an hour. It's 3:22 now, and I believe the first polling station in the States closes at 4 o'clock. So, it has been an interesting election year so far, as it feels like Trump has been campaigning for the last 4 years. And for Biden and the Democrats, not only have they been in a forever primary process, but they've just had to flip into the current election cycle. I bet you Joe Biden is feeling pretty tired by now, just because of the amount of time that had to be put in the recent, year and a half of going through all of that. So some people say that this is the vote for your life. This is a vote like your life depends on it. Others have actually said that certain sides are voting that are votes for pure evil, and these could destroy the world as we know it. Some say that there is no good candidate and that you can only vote for the lesser of two evils. Some point out that a progressive group that seeks equality and a change are silly for going with the oldest white dude that they could find, and some say that the Republicans are just a bunch of racist bigots. Both sides blame each other for the civil unrest and property damage that has been seen over the last 6 months, and both parties claims that their way of dealing with COVID-19 is the best way of dealing with COVID-19. Both sides have polling data that shows that they could win, and each side has polling data that proves that the other party is going to lose. Both parties have polling data not only showing that they're going to win, but also that they're going to sweep the House, the Senate, and the White House. Most visible cable news groups are seemingly firmly behind Biden and against Trump, while many YouTube personalities are in Trump's camp. But with both sides entrenched, and the numbers being so close, and with so much craziness happening in the world during 2020, I have personally been excited for this election to happen for the last several weeks. And as my coworkers can attest, I have been sort of bouncing off the walls here, looking forward to going home and being able to watch the U.S. election. Super excited. Last time I was excited like this was a couple weeks ago when we almost had a federal election take place in Canada. That would have been something. But alas, that didn't actually come to fruition. Now, it feels like no matter what happens, everything's going to go for an upside down cake. People are boarding up their businesses in most major cities, worried about the possibility of more civil unrest taking place tonight and tomorrow, depending on who wins. And of course, just like with the election that we had in the province, we will not know the actual results until several weeks from now because of the amount of mail-in ballots that the states has. I believe last time I heard a number, it was around 80 million mail-in ballots. So, keeping all of that in mind, we need to stay sane, stay safe. I guess we're lucky that we're in Canada and not having to actually physically deal with this ourselves, but things that happen in the States typically boil over into Canada. Anyway, since no one has called in and no one has commented, if you want to leave a thought on this, you can in the comments, or you can email us at honjournalists@ashcrofthub.com. We would love to be able to hear your guys' thoughts, and or give me a call on Friday, same time, 3 o'clock, and let me know what your thoughts are after the election, and we'll see what tonight brings. So anyway, everybody, have yourselves a good one, and let's say, give me a name. Yeah.
Let's just go to the Cash Sweep Swap site and say, Deborah Tui.
Deb Tui, if you're watching, we hope you're having a great day, and thank you. All right. Have yourselves a good one, and stay safe, and we'll see you guys on Friday.